It's always good to see you, my friend. Let's bring in Democratic Congresswoman Val Demings of Florida. She is also a former Orlando police chief, and she joins me this morning just hours after holding a town hall on gun violence with her constituents there in Orlando last night. Congresswoman, with a big welcome to you on this Saturday morning. I want to ask you what you heard last night and whether or not there was common ground among all the voices for finding solutions to gun violence in this country.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me here this morning. We had a pretty spirited town hall last night because one of the things I've wanted to do was really give constituents in my district an opportunities to express their views, their hopes and their fears surrounding gun violence and gun violence legislation. So we had a town hall where we heard from both sides. We heard from people who believe that we need to fix our background system, that we need to ban assault weapons, we need to ban high-capacity magazines. And then we also heard from gun owners who feel like, you know, in some ways their constitutional rights may be violated. We heard from people who feel like we should arm teachers in the classroom, but we also heard from gun owners who said, yeah, they're gun owners and they believe in the Second Amendment, but they do not believe that we should have assault-style weapons on our streets. So last night, very good, like I said, spirited and I think productive discussion. We're looking forward to having additional ones, and hopefully we can find solutions that work. But one thing was for sure last night, that there is agreement on both sides that we need to do something about gun violence.
Yours is a unique perspective, ma'am, as you are a elected official now, but you're also a former police chief there. What is your sense of what can actually be done to make a difference as you marry both of these hats that you've worn and wear?
You know, I really believe that a lot can be done. As a police chief, I worked hard to get illegal guns, what we call crime guns, out of the hands of bad people, dangerous people, those who were mentally ill. We can have that same agenda in Congress if we have the political will to do so. What I have seen, unfortunately, and it's been quite disappointing, many of my colleagues, those who receive contributions from the NRA, are in support of doing absolutely nothing. But I'm so proud of the 500,000 people we see in our nation's capital today, thousands around the state of Florida. There'll be thousands here in Orlando that will be marching who are not accepting nor tolerating the lack of action. And what is so inspiring about these young people is that they're not going to let it go. They've had the blood of their classmates, their friends splattered on them. That should not happen in American schools. We will be standing with them and supporting them.
You're right. These kids, my sense is as well with you, that they are not going to let this go. Are lawmakers going to let this go? I mean, what is the sense there on Capitol Hill as you walk the halls, as you go into the offices, have lunch with, go to meetings with your colleagues? Is this a sea change now?
It's interesting the conversations that we have in a public setting with our colleagues versus those in a private setting. What I can tell you is the colleagues that I have an opportunity to meet with one-on-one, I have gone and met with some of my Republican colleagues in their offices to talk about finding common ground. They are devastated by what has happened in American schools, mass shootings, nightclubs, churches, movie theaters, malls, totally unacceptable. But they are afraid that they will not be elected again, that they will have people within their own party that will run against them. But what we have also talked about is, you know, reminding ourselves of why we're there in the first place, and that we have a direct obligation to protect the people that we represent, and to allow or to watch mass shooting after mass shooting and do absolutely nothing is unacceptable. However, we have seen some movement, and as you talked about earlier, it may be small steps, incremental changes, but we haven't seen that before. So we are encouraged by that.
Well, I very much appreciate your candor in talking about your colleagues there on the Hill and what they are most fearful of when it comes to their jobs. I want to get to what happened last night. There was some breaking news to share that the president now has signed an order banning most transgender groups from serving. I want to get your reaction because just on Thursday, I know that you met with representatives from the Human Rights Commission. So your reaction to this news?
Very disappointing, but I think everybody who's paying any attention at all knows that as the Russia investigation continues, the president will use whatever distraction that he has available to take our attention off of Mr. Mueller and that investigation. With all of the issues that are going on, he has hundreds of thousands of students in his country marching to protest against gun violence, and he's coming up with legislation or a suggestion to keep people who are dedicated servants who want to serve in our military from doing that. It makes absolutely no sense. I think America's not falling for it this time, and enough is enough with that, too.
I do want to talk with you also about the special counsel's Russia investigation because you and other Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee, I know you held a news conference this week and you once again warned the president, do not fire Robert Mueller. Do you think that's what this shakeup on the president's legal team is all about, particularly with John Dowd's departure?
I really think it is. And, you know, having worked as a police chief, I've had an opportunity to work closely with prosecutors, but also work indirectly with defense attorneys. And one thing that I do know about attorneys, they're very loyal and very dedicated to their client. The fact that the president's team is falling apart, people are walking away from him, his attorneys are walking away from him, I think sends a very strong signal about where the Russia investigation is going. Look, the bottom line is this: if you're innocent, and I think Trey Gowdy said it last weekend, if you're innocent, then act like it. If the president has not been involved in any wrongdoing, then the person that he should want most leading the Russia investigation is Robert Mueller. But I believe as Mueller and his team gets closer and closer to the truth, we don't know what the truth is, but the president certainly does. I think that this is a last-minute scramble, but the truth will come out, and the sooner the better.